All right, folks, welcome to another President Trump live event. This time he is going to be delivering a speech on American jobs. There's a meeting right now with Ivanka Trump and business leaders where President Trump is set to attend in just a few moments. We wanted to make sure that you guys got here when the main event happened. So stay tuned. Please share the live stream on social media. We'll be switching over to the White House right now as they're underway with, giving updates from different companies on how they're hiring Americans, how they're hiring veterans, and also people that have done their time. And now it's time for them to get a second chance, sometimes even a third chance. But there's companies in the White House letting everyone know what's going on. So here we go, folks.
In innovative public-private partnerships as part of their integrated strategies for creating jobs. Community-led efforts. We specifically incorporated the workforce development recommendation from that working group into our playbook. It's available on our website, and I'm happy to give copies to folks after the meeting. With that, let me open it up. Let me turn it back to you, Ivanka, and Secretary Ross for any comments or questions from the group, and then we can call all 7 recommendations to a vote.
From the group?
I just had one question on the third part there as it relates to the supply chain. You mentioned like health supplies. Is it in particular circumstance, or is there more details on what a strategic supply chain?
No, we did not have consensus over particular areas. The idea, the genesis from this was coming from the fact was the COVID-19 pandemic and thinking about supply chain PPEs, medical supplies, and those types of things. We did not want to get into defining what specific strategic that was. I know there's a number of folks that have different views on what is strategic or not. The important part was there seems to be this focus among employers to move from supply chains that focus more on efficiency and optimization, and now the key word is being resilient. And we thought if companies are going to be doing that anyway, there are easy ways in the Opportunity Zone legislation to provide additional incentives to have those supply chains come back to the areas that need it the most and where workforce, the employees could benefit the most from that. And so that's
right,
the
Michael.
part of that.
And Scott, just to further that, we are developing and will soon be presenting a U.S. government plan to do exactly that, highlighting the specific industries that are critical from national security perspective and obviously from an economic and health perspective to secure our supply chain and create the resiliency Michael just mentioned. So thank you. Any additional questions on this past working group? Great. Well, Marianne and Mike, thank you so much for your great work and the whole team behind you in this subgroup who just Herculean effort. So we are thankful. And with that, let's call a vote on the recommendations that were just presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. So they are passed. So with that, I am going to open it up to questions. Then we will officially adjourn and then open back up to a more casual conversation where Larry will kick us off with a little bit of an update on the status of the economy and answer any questions you have. We'll take a short break for everyone to stretch their legs, and then the President will be joining us to sign the executive order in furtherance of these recommendations. So can I open it up, please, Secretary?
Thanks, Ivanka. I just wanted to add to some of the comments that were made. Mike, your first 2 suggestions there are completely in line with what we have been trying to advance, and it's great to hear the recommendations from the council in that regard. And Ginny, you mentioned the workforce grant reimagining workforce grant preparation competition, which we just announced last week. And I think this is a really unique way to further break down silos that have been so strong between education and the workforce in very practical ways, really helping to expand apprenticeship and short-term certification. That's going to be the highlight of the application process. Also, thinking about some higher ed institutions, again, the change in this, the ultimate change that the pandemic is going to create both for higher ed institutions and for opportunity for work. The notion of using facilities and faculty experience and expertise to help incubate small businesses. And that is going to be the other focus of this Reimagining Workforce Preparation Grant. So thanks for mentioning that and highlighting it. And thank you, Ivanka and Secretary Ross, for your leadership on the council here. Really great recommendations and great work to really support and expand pathways for students of all ages.
Last meeting, we discussed recommendations for legislation beyond what was mentioned here today, which was supplementary. And it's terrific that in addition to the program just mentioned, many of them were being executed or have subsequently been executed by the Department of Education in the form of pilot programs. Pell for prisoners, some of the short-term funding for shorter-term high-quality programming. So thank you for your great work on that front. As we seek to create larger scale to each of these.
Thanks.
Any other questions from the group before we officially adjourn the meeting? Amazing. Well, thank you everyone for your tremendous work. I think for those of you who have sat on these before, there has been an expression of surprise by how much this group has done in terms of tangible deliverables. And part of the reason that the President's also signing an executive order today to extend the lifespan of the board is so we can take some of the ideas that are now being piloted and really scale them in a significant way, particularly the learning and career record, the interoperable learning record that we are renaming. Thank you for that suggestion. I agree with it. And really take those pilots and combine them, learn from them, study them, and grow it. And also, obviously, given the delay with the COVID epidemic and realigning the message of our workforce campaign, we will be launching that in the coming weeks as well. So thank everyone in this room for their continued service for another year, and we look forward to much more great work in the future. And with that, I will officially adjourn and go get the President, who will be joining us, while Larry will give an update on the economic recovery, share his insight, and answer any questions you have.
Take it away. My hint? Good. Okay, thanks. Hi, everybody. Thank you, Ivanka. Appreciate it. Thanks to everybody here, my colleagues and those from the private sector. So, a few thoughts. If you hadn't heard, we are rather more in the V-shaped recovery argument. There's a lot of iterations of that. I've heard about V's, L's, U's. I was speaking to a group, I don't even remember, some big think tank, and General David Petraeus asked me, what about a square root? And I had to really think about that. And then I figured it out, right, got it. No, we're going to be in the V-shaped recovery, the V-shaped camp. Some days, some years we go to summer camp. This year we go to the V-shaped recovery camp. And actually, it's working pretty well in the early goings. Let's assume we started to grow again in April, maybe late April or May. Call it May. And now we're through June. And really almost every indicator is showing a V. Whether that continues remains to be seen. I'm only as good as the numbers, but the fundamentals seem okay. I mean, I go down a laundry list of government and or private sector surveys. Restaurants rising rapidly from a low base, to be sure, but they are rising. Home builders sharply. Home building demand is very high, and we've had some great reports on the housing sector in general. On the other hand, trucking surveys are rising rapidly. Durable goods had a gangbuster report, I think it was yesterday or the day before. A new hot indicator is the Apple Mobility Index, which gives you a read on traveling, particularly auto traveling, and that index has gone up so much it's almost to pre-pandemic levels. And as the economy opens or reopens up, people are cooped up now, they're getting around. Gasoline demand is high. We've actually had an increase in energy prices, not too hot, not too cold, so they're probably in a good zone. Maybe another buck or two, you can make some money in the energy business again. Initial claims, very important weekly claims for new applications and continuing claims for the unemployment insurance payouts. The initial claims, the applications are up 12 straight weeks. I saw some financial places saying, well, they should have gone down more, but I don't know. They're down substantially. 12 weeks is a good number. The other thing that's very interesting to me on the continuing claims, which means those that are actually receiving unemployment insurance payments, those have dropped from 24.9 million to 19.5 million, so 5.4 million drop. Now, these are very, very high levels. I get that, but we're coming from a rough place, and what I call the pandemic contraction. You know, just as an aside, this is not a macroeconomic event so much as it is a natural disaster that wound up squashing the economy. That's an important distinction. When I see references to prior cycles of recessions or worse, I say to myself, this person's really missing the key point. And it's sort of like a bad, bad hurricane or a terrific, terrible snowstorm. You know, when it hits, it's very bad. And don't get me wrong, there's enormous heartbreak and hardship in these numbers, and we're not near full recovery yet. But having noted that, natural disasters pass, and then you resume your activity. Now, there'll be some patchwork necessary, but the fundamental structures, the fundamental architecture of the economy, which was very strong in the past 3 years and 2 months before the pandemic, is there. And hopefully with policy actions that are pro-growth and providing incentives, you know, we will build upon that. So I think these claims numbers, you know, we had a huge jump in retail sales. Today's income report showed a gigantic jump in overall consumer spending. It was up 8% for the month. I believe it's the biggest one in history. Bill Beach could correct me if I'm wrong. 18% rise in retail sales, I thought was the biggest one in history, or very near to it. 3 million jobs increase in May. So it's a good story so far. You know, this may be a triumph of hope over expectations. I get that, but you know, deep prayer and meditation plays a large role in my econometric modeling. And I am the quintessential optimist. It's in my DNA. I'm a terrible bear, and I'm a much better bull. But what I see from the numbers, and we got all these big shots here who have gigantic departments cranking out numbers, my friend Scalia, my friend Wilbur, and others, and Mr. Beach, who runs the BLS, you know, that's what they're showing. If it changes, we'll change. But so far, so good, and it's very, very important to us. I will reference the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, not always friendly to free market supply side administrations, but they're showing similar numbers, basically a 20% growth rate in the second half of the year. One of Wall Street's leading economists, Ed Hyman, who has millions of followers, he's looking at 20% in Q3, 20% in Q4. I'll buy into those numbers. That's what our own models show from the Council of Economic Advisors and the NEC. So if I get 2020, the second quarter is going to be terrible contraction, the pandemic contraction, absolutely. Pick a number, any number of decline, and you'll be close. But coming back from that low level, 20%, 20%, and if we got 5% in Q1 2021, that arithmetic works out, we will have gotten back to the level of GDP at the peak in 2019. So it won't take 5 or 6 or 7 years. It could be done, frankly, in the next year. All right? That's what the arithmetic shows. Now, we're looking carefully. The news on COVID-19 in the last 4, 5, 6 days is not good. I understand that. I'll just add some color to that. Gene and I were at the virus task force meeting this morning. And, there are about, I don't know, 8, 10, maybe a dozen hotspots in big places. And, those are the facts, and we can't sugarcoat that. You've basically got Florida and Texas and California and Arizona. Those are probably the biggest. You've got others in some smaller metro areas. On the other hand, the New York, New Jersey metropolitan area has recovered beautifully. Some thought that would never happen. Michigan, these numbers, in terms of cases and fatalities, for those states are big negatives. Michigan is the same way, Minnesota is the same way. So, there's good news here and there's bad news here. Deborah Birx, who teaches me what little I know about the subject, says it's not a second wave so much as it is a continuation of the first wave, but which the virus moves. And it's kind of moving south and west. And that's what we're seeing. And the others on the task force, the professional health people, Bob Redfield, Tony Fauci, and Deborah and so forth, and some others, they have tools now we didn't have 2 or 3, 4 months ago. Massive testing. I mean, we're doing about 500,000 tests per day, right? Hospitalization care is much better, and there are adequate hospitals. The equipment, the PPE equipment and so forth is in much, much better shape, both in terms of the inventory stock as well as the applications. The diagnostics are better than they were. So I believe this is manageable. That's what they're telling us. I sincerely hope they're right. I would just say one of the conclusions from the meeting this morning is the necessity to remind people at the federal level and the state level and the mayors and the county level to maintain good practices. Let's not forget wearing face covers when necessary and when appropriate is still very important. I don't want to preach on this. I'm just saying this is what they report. This is how we will solve those hot spots, just as we solved, the disaster we experienced in March and April. Social distancing is still very important. Lots of young people going to bars, hugging, kissing, and dancing and whatnot. I'm too old to appreciate whatever they do, but it doesn't look that great in terms of a COVID-19. Might be good in other periods, but doesn't look so good to me right now. There's plenty of hospital capacity, so this is manageable. That's their message to us, but we have to emphasize good practices and guidelines. Last couple of points. I think I'm essentially vamping while the president comes here, which I used to do as a broadcaster. And you can cut me off after an hour and a half, but I'll just give you just a couple of final thoughts. When I caucused with Ivanka a couple of years back when I came on board here, and we talked about this, so much of the heart of this project was about reskilling and retraining, and I guess re-educating to some extent too. And I still see this in that context. And I was just thinking, it's just random thoughts. The need for reskilling is enormous in the modern age. And, just think about everything is driven now. Literally, everything is driven by computing skills. Teleworking is going to be very important. 5G is coming. These are themes that are going to be with us, not only because of the progress of technology and how it infiltrates every nook and cranny of the economy, but I will, add an asterisk for the COVID-19, which is going to change some work habits, may change it for the better, as far as you can tell, as far as I know. Stuff like, I was just random lists. This computing revolution, information processing, everything's a semiconductor chip or based on a chip. Healthcare, automobiles, being a factory worker on the assembly line is completely different today than it was 25, 35, 50 years ago. Completely, totally different, right? You're operating computers and robots. You can do it. It's just a different kind of job. Factories are different. Farming is different. Research, analysis, all manner of science is affected by all the modern gains we've had in technology and technology advances, which I continue to believe is the heart of the American economy. One of my favorite classical economists is Joseph Schumpeter. He died in early 1950s, but I commune with him sometimes on the weekends. He was the guy who coined the phrase creative destruction, and that's what we are seeing. By the way, that Schumpeter, my spiritual connection was kind of a joke, but some of it's actually true. Simple stuff, like stuff that I might not have known very well 10, 15 years ago, using Microsoft Word, right? All kinds of spreadsheet works. Now these are skills you can learn. Even old guys like me can learn them. Everybody's got to learn them. And when they learn them, they can do very well. And I want to emphasize one other thing here. Really, the heart of Ivanka's vision for this project was to use the private sector, not the government, to go through this training, re-education, and reskilling. And I just fell in love with the project when I heard that. Because we have all these, whatever we have, over 50 training programs in the government, none of them probably any good. I don't want to beat up on everybody, but I think people in private business, large or small, they know what they need and what they should teach a lot better than folks here in Washington, myself included. And so that's why I've always admired and tried to support Ivanka on this project. And I'll say this too. Folks who learn these new skills, right, and change, are a lot more confident about the future. It just gives them self-knowledge and self-awareness and self-esteem. And that's probably an overlooked factoid here, but it really is. So they can go out into the workplace and seek jobs and go to interviews, having been to trade schools or whatever it is, community colleges and so forth, and know that they have a good shot at it. And know that they have a good shot at the good life because these skills bring what? Higher wages, more job opportunities, and people come back into the workforce. Those are the key points I want to make. And I think, that works on many levels such that, and I'll finish on this point, I regard Ivanka's project as fundamentally a major contribution to the growth objectives and goals of the Trump administration. I mean, we always talk about lower taxes, which worked. We always talk about rolling back excessive and costly regulatory burdens, which has worked. We've always talked about unleashing energy. We've always talked about fair and reciprocal trade deals to help our workforce at home and provide more export markets. That's a growth model that worked for 3 years and 2 months until the pandemic set in March. And it worked great with a 3.5% unemployment rate, where low-end wage earners did better than high-end wage earners, where minority groups, including African Americans, did better than the top 1%. And those are factoids. Don't blame it. Blame Beach and Wilbur. They all have these economic bureaucracies. God knows what's going on there. But those are the facts. Seriously, it worked. We went into this pandemic with a terrific economy, probably the best in at least a generation. And there's no reason why we can't come out of this in position to repeat those successes. We did it once. It can be done a second time. And I want to put in that cluster of growth policies Ivanka's reskilling, retraining, and re-educating. That brings the worker closer with better wages and more confidence and more esprit de corps and a whole lot less fear about the future. So I see this as a growth project. I'm honored to be part of it. It's great fun. I think I have to stop now. Thank you. I'll just say thank you very much.
We're just going to take a short break so you can stretch your legs and the president will be here soon.
So what do you think it can do? Is trying to do it follow the line or?
All right, folks. So the president is going to be on his way right now. They just wanted Larry Kudlow to just give updates on what's going on. But President Trump is going to be coming out right now. Do not go anywhere. President Trump is set to deliver his speech on workforce policy at the advisory board that is being chaired by Ivanka Trump. So I'm going to be checking Twitter to see if anybody is sharing the live stream right now. President Trump is set to come out very soon to deliver his speech, once again, at the White House Workforce Policy Advisory Board. So let me check real quick to see if anybody is sharing the live stream on social media. Let me know if the sound is different when it comes to the microphone. Let me know if the sound is now different when it comes to the microphone. I'm just also checking the chat just to see what everyone is saying. Once again, President Trump is coming out very soon to deliver his speech. I don't know why they stopped it right before he came out. Even though they were talking about the economy, they could have continued talking about the economy, but I don't know. Barbie G, thank you so much for your help and your support sharing the live stream on social media. Once again, President Trump is set to come out very soon to deliver his speech at the White House American Workforce Policy Advisory Board meeting. We'd also like to give a big thank you to Hurley Burley for sharing the stream on social media. Earlier today, the White House Coronavirus Task Force, chaired by Vice President Mike Pence, the sound is clean. Cool. So yeah, the Vice President and Dr. Birx, Dr. Fauci, all of those people from the White House Coronavirus Task Force, they delivered a press briefing earlier today from HHS, which is very interesting. Why they didn't do it at the White House, I have no idea. Why they did it at HHS, I have no idea. Maybe what's going to happen, and this is just a theory of mine, something that I believe is going to happen in the near future. They're going to have the Coronavirus Task Force go from a White House thing to a HHS thing. So I think they're going to transfer over all of the everything that has to do with coronavirus over to HHS instead of the White House taking care of it. I think that might happen within the next few months, but who knows? Maybe that's one of the reasons why they did the press briefing at HHS compared to doing it at the White House. Freckled Smudge, thanks so much for sharing the stream on social media. We also have Fuller Horton, thanks so much for sharing the stream. All right, let me check to see if anybody's saying anything about the microphone. Is it better now? Does it sound better? Or is it more clear? We want to make sure that we do a lot of updates. So let's see here. Michelle says it sounds clear. Let's see. It says it sounds great. So there are some Patriots. Hi, and you sound very clear. Okay, that's good. Sounds good. I will check my email, Patriot Camp 17. Don't worry, I'll check it out. Sounds perfect. Okay, if Gorf says that it sounds perfect, then it must sound really good because Gorf knows exactly what he's talking about. Thanks so much, Gorf, for the update there. Yeah, if Gorf says it sounds good because he knows everything that has to do with sound and stuff. So I take his comment and I agree with it. All right, so let's see. Thank you so much, folks. Mike G, thanks so much for your help and your feedback. All right, so once again, President Trump is set to deliver a speech at the American Workforce Policy Advisory Board very soon. And we are going, hold on, give me 1 second here. Here we go. So President Trump, once again, is set to deliver his speech right now. Give me a second. I have the footage. I'm going to be putting it up on your screen here. So we get ready for President Trump. All right, here we go. So we are getting ready for President Trump as he's set to deliver his speech very soon. Let me see if I have the hot mic. No hot mic right now, but I'll check to see if I can get the hot mic going. So once again, President Trump is set to deliver a speech on jobs in the economy in just a few moments here. We're going to be giving shout outs to everyone that shares the live stream on social media. So we're going to be starting off with Bobby Baxter for Trump, voted for Trump. Thanks so much for sharing the stream. And also Fine Wine Takes Time. Thanks so much for sharing the stream on social media. Lady Love MAGA, thank you so much for sharing the stream on social media. Thank you so much for the feedback. Garden Life 19, it says it sounds great. Kizo Frank, thanks so much for sharing the stream and also for letting me know that it sounds good. Let's see here. And we also have... Let me refresh one more time to see if anybody else is sharing the stream. We would like to give a big thank you to Denise Johnson. Thank you so much for sharing the stream. We also have Crown. Thanks so much, Crown. Trump's Microwave Soda and California Girl 42. Thank you so much for sharing the stream. Timothy McClure. Thank you so much for sharing the stream. Wild River Preppers and Marianne. Thank you so much, Marianne. Also, Gary Somebody. Thank you so much for sharing the stream. Space Monkey. Thanks so much, Space Monkey, for sharing the stream. We also have Gren. Thank you so much, Gren. W. Rogers. Thank you so much, W. Rogers. And Kath Blue. Thank you so much, Cat Blue. Rick Newman. Thank you so much, Rick. Let's see here. Quilt Queen. Thank you so much, Quilt Queen, for sharing the stream. LP. Thanks so much, LP. And also Barbie G sharing the stream on social media. And thank you so much for your continued support. Once again, we are awaiting President Trump. And let's see. We'll check if we have the hot mic in just a few moments. And we'll be back on the microphone to give more shout outs right before President Trump comes out, hopefully. But thank you so much to everyone that is sharing the stream and also clicking the thumbs up button. All right, folks, so we are going to be checking Twitter to see if anybody else is sharing the live stream on social media. Thank you so much for choosing Golden State Times as your stream of choice. My name is Gent. I am the host of the stream, and I'd like to thank everyone that is sharing it on Facebook and on Twitter, and also on Parler. If you're not on Parler, get on it right now, folks, because the Trump train has arrived at Parler, and they are getting a ton of patriots going over to Parler to express themselves freely compared to being restricted and censored on Twitter. So we are on Parler. Just look us up, Golden State Times, and follow us on Parler at Golden State Times. But thank you so much to everyone that is sharing the live stream right now. And we're checking Twitter because it's the easiest place for us to find you guys when you share the stream. It's the easiest place as of right now. We're going to check Parler to see how easy it is. And we'll also use Parler to give shout outs to everyone that is sharing the stream. But let's go to Twitter real quick. And we're going to be starting off here with Resignation Anon. Thank you so much for sharing the stream. Sergio, thank you so much for sharing the stream. Brudda Chimp, thank you so much, Brudda Chimp, for your continued support. Greg Williamson, thank you so much for sharing the stream. Rexer P, thank you so much for sharing the stream. Also, Pirate GFX, thank you so much, Pirate. And Doug Fashow 2, I hope I said that right. Social Zebra Digital, thank you so much for sharing the stream on social media. We also have Anna sharing the stream. Carrie Blackburn, thank you so much for sharing the stream. Trian, I hope I said that right. Trian. Scoots, thanks so much, Scoots. Vinny Chase, thanks so much, Vinny. Feel the North Canada, thanks so much for sharing the stream. That's an interesting name. All right, so Rock Hard Chick, thanks so much, Rock Hard Chick, for your support sharing the stream. Robert, thanks so much, Robert, for sharing the stream. Also, don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Gold State Times. We post scoops, breaking news, political news, President Trump updates and news, and also anything else in between. So if you want to stay up to date on everything that is going on in politics, make sure you follow us on Twitter at Gold State Times. If you're sick and tired of Drudge and the Drudge Report, then check out our website, goldenstatetimes.com. Let me check if the hot mic is on. I'm not 100% sure. All right, we'll check the hot mic to see what's going on with that. And let's see here. Oh, here's President Trump.
Thank you very much. Busy time. Nice to see you. Thank you very much. Busy time.
Absolutely.
We're making a lot of progress with the whole situation that came in from a place called China. You probably know, you probably see. But we have a little work to do, and we'll get it done. We're having some very good numbers coming out in terms of the comeback of our nation, and I think it's going very rapidly, and it's going to be very good. But right now we're in that process of building, and it's an honor that you're with us today. We very much appreciate it. I'm delighted to welcome members of the Workforce Policy Advisory Board, and I want to thank Ivanka. She works very hard on this board. She works very hard to get jobs, and it's made in the USA and jobs in the USA. I saw a group of your people yesterday having to do with ships. Mm-hmm. You're involved in that partnership, and it's fantastic what they're doing in Wisconsin. It was really a great day. The Secretary of Treasury is with us, and he's worked very hard, and I think he's got some very good things to say and some pretty big news. And Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross, Secretary of Labor Gene Scalia, Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos, and Small Business Administrator who's definitely kept busy, Jovita. Where's Jovita? Jovita, good. Jovita Carranza. Thanks also to Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds, who's done terrifically. Kim, hi Kim, nice to see you. Thank you very much. And Eric Holcomb, Governor of Indiana. And we always recognize Eric because he's, how tall are you, Eric? He's a pretty tall guy, right? But we have one that's a little taller. You know where that is? Alaska. You know that, right? You're doing a great job. We appreciate it. As well as the CEOs who have signed our pledge to American workers, Marilyn Houston, thank you very much, of Lockheed Martin, Sebastian Thurn of Udacity, and Ginny Rometty of IBM. I want to thank you all. You've been really here from the beginning, very much from the beginning, and we appreciate it very much. Together we built the greatest economy in history, and literally in the history of the world, greatest we've ever had, the greatest the world has ever seen. And now we have to bring it back because we had to close in order to save millions of lives. We added 2.5 million jobs last month, which was incredible, a number, the largest monthly increase in history, and more than double the previous record. So we're bringing it back. We had the greatest ever, and we had to close it, and now we bring it back, and we start off with 2.5 million jobs in 1 month. I would say that's pretty good, Marilyn, right? That's the highest ever done. And then likewise, retail sales surged by nearly 18% last month. That was the biggest jump ever recorded. So that's great. The stock market has seen, you go back a week, 1 week, it saw the best 50 days in its history, best 50-day increase in the history of the stock markets. Our pledge to America's workers has secured commitments to over 16 million job and training opportunities from employers nationwide, and some of the employers are with us, and they've been fantastic. I want to thank the American people for doing such an incredible job. They understand what's happening and they see how fast we're turning it around. I want to just state that this is Americans of all backgrounds that we're talking about. To have the chance, we want to get them the chance to learn and to build a successful career. We want to train Americans and we want to hire Americans. So we're training American and we're hiring American. Before the pledge, and this is a very big factor, I mean, we have a problem that has about 22 different names, but I'll just call it the plague. But before the plague struck, we had the lowest African American and Hispanic American, Asian American unemployment ever. We had the most jobs we've ever had, almost 160 million jobs. We've never been in a position like that. Women were thriving, best numbers ever. And since my election, more than half of those jobs, more than half, first time that's ever happened, went to women. But now we want to get that all back. The African American group got hit very hard. The Hispanic American group got hit very hard. Essentially all groups got hit hard, but now it's all coming back. To further expand opportunity, I'm taking a bold action to reform the federal workforce. Today, I'll sign an executive order that directs the federal government to replace outdated and really outdated, it's called degree-based hiring, with skill-based hiring. So we want it based on skill. The federal government will no longer be narrowly focused on where you went to school, but the skills and the talents that you bring to the job. We want that skill to be there. We want it based on merit. We've looked at merit for a long time, and we've been able to get that done. And today's signing is a very, very important one. I think maybe before I sign, I'll ask Ivanka to say a few words, and then we'll go around a little bit. We'll pick a few people, and then we'll sign, and we go back to work. Thank you very much, Ivanka.
Thank you, Mr. President, and it's an honor to have you here. We just convened our 6th meeting of our Workforce Advisory Board, and we got an update on the team's response to your bold call to action. First, we're going to be launching, and Ginny Rometty, in partnership with Tim Cook, spearheaded this group, a massive advertising campaign that directs those that need to reskill, learn a new trade, to secure a job, to the resources to enable them to do that. So we're very excited about the launch of this private sector-led and driven campaign to match Americans with the training they need and ultimately the job vacancies that exist. The advisory board is also creating a series of pilot programs, and Scott Pulsifer and Doug McMillan have been running these groups where we really think about how we create the resumes of the future and allow people to find job vacancies based on skill, and for employers to connect with those unemployed workers, again, based on skill. So creating a lot more efficiency to that process. You are once again leading by example here today with this EO signing. As the nation's largest employer, we are always seeking to recruit and retain the best and the brightest to serve the American people. Last December, you fought for and secured paid leave for every federal worker. This was a first, creating a workplace that reflects our American values of both work and family, and helping us retain our amazing talent. It's also why you fought so hard this spring when COVID struck to secure paid sick leave for Americans employed by small businesses and additional funding for child care providers, helping millions and millions of Americans remain employed and providing relief to small businesses across the country. This is going to ensure a faster and stronger recovery. Today, we're taking that next step, as you mentioned, and signing an executive order that directs federal agencies to hire based on skills and knowledge, not just outdated degree requirements. This will allow us to better recognize the talents and competencies of all Americans we hire. You built once the most inclusive economy in this country's history, and you'll build it again. Through our pledge to America's workers, the private sector has committed to investing in the training and education of over 16 million American students and workers. And this continues despite the vast change that the plague ushered in. Companies like Udacity, Sebastian Thrun joins us today, have been leading the way. And they've been using their pledge commitment and fulfilling it by providing free tech training to American workers laid off as a result of COVID. I recently had the opportunity to virtually meet one of the students that went through your program and received your scholarship in conjunction with the pledge, and it was incredible. His name was Tony. He was a lifelong truck driver. He owned his own business. It was a single rig that he had. Through a series of setbacks, the company ended up going under. He signed up for a course in tech and is now a software engineer, providing for his family, absolutely loving what he does. And there are many, many stories like Tony that hopefully will inspire millions across the nation. Marilyn Hewson, also an early pledge signer of Lockheed Martin, committed to hiring during the pandemic, using virtual technology and other techniques to ensure recruitment processes move forward. So with more people teleworking and learning from home than ever before, we have a lot to accomplish in the months ahead, and I'm really excited about your effort to extend this working group and to reform our federal hiring practices as we think about building that inclusive American economy as we transition to greatness. So thank you for today, and it's a pleasure to have you join us.
Thank you very much, honey. Great job. Really has been. It's been a labor of love, and Ivanka loves helping people. It's a wonderful thing. Marilyn, how about starting with you?
Thank you, Mr. President. It's really an honor to serve on this policy board, and I must say I agree with you. Advisor Trump, Ivanka Trump, and Secretary Ross have led us well. We've had a great effort over the last several meetings and put forward some strong recommendations that I help to match the skills together with the jobs that are there. And at Lockheed Martin, we're proud that this year we're on a path to hire 12,000 people, and a lot of it is around making sure that we are getting the kind of apprenticeships and scholarships and skills training for them so that they can link up to jobs in our operation. Thank you.
Well, you've done a great job, and I got to see it again. I mentioned it was so impressive what I saw, the whole group yesterday. It was really great to be there, and I didn't know you had a big chunk of that one, but you've done very well with it, so we appreciate it. Please, Sebastian, please.
It's a great honor to meet you, and I want to thank you for keeping us safe and moving us forward. This has been, of course, a vital time for all of us with over 30 million unemployed. It's our chance to really redefine how education looks like and move into a world where people learn lifelong, have lifelong access, and can really unfold their livelihoods. Ivanka, who's, of course, the visionary behind all of this, and thank you for doing this, mentioned Tony Boswell, a truck driver who was driving trucks for 10 years, and then his truck broke down. He couldn't finance the new engine that he needed. And he was unemployed, had no income, no education, and came across by randomness a Google scholarship that Udacity launched. And then in 10 months' time was able to become a software engineer. These are the stories that I believe this nation needs. I think we have so much opportunity, so much potential in this great nation to bring people forward, and I think this is the time to do it.
That's a great story. It's a great story, amazing story. Ginny, please.
Well, first, Mr. President, thank you for your leadership during this time.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And you used an important word when you described Ivanka's contribution here as a labor of love, because this is something I think what the team has done collectively will have a very long-term impact, as well as short-term. And we are solving probably, or working towards helping solve one of the most important programs for growth for the country as well. So to help anyone from any socioeconomic background. So I really, my hat is off and a thanks to Secretary Ross and to Ivanka for having led us through this. And I think what we've put on the table is substantive change. And I know it is change to a company like mine. So as you signed Skills First, we've adopted that, and 15% of our hires last year were people from non-traditional backgrounds. And so it's really what this is all about, I think, and giving everyone a bright future in the digital era. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Good job.
Thank you.
Eric, go ahead, please.
Well, I'll just add my appreciation. I mean, what you're doing today is leveling the playing field. And there's been a lot of people, a lot of have-nots that will have an opportunity to join the haves. And to do it during a time of such challenge, but to recognize the opportunity that's here and to do it now, there couldn't be a more important time. So appreciate everyone's effort around this table and your leadership on this front.
And Indiana's doing very well, I'm hearing. Good things.
We are moving in the right direction. We've got 93,000 unfilled jobs right now that we need to fill. We've ushered in 100,000 jobs in just 3.5 years. The previous record was 93,000 in 4 years. These are high-wage, high-demand jobs. These are $28 north an hour.
That's great.
So this is what it's all about, skilling up the workforce. Thank you.
That's great. Great job. Thank you very much. Kim?
Well, thank you, Mr. President. And what I so appreciate about your administration is it's really an administration of action. You identify barriers and gaps, and then you help bring the right people together to find the solutions and enact those. So thank you very much. It's been an honor to be a part of this advisory board. I appreciate how, with the leadership of Ivanka and Secretary Ross, we really have identified the various elements, connected those elements, whether it's been consistent data, definition, goals, and messaging. And I look forward to really amplifying that in the state of Iowa. By executive order, I just created an economic task force. I brought several CEOs, business leaders, and nonprofits together to utilize their expertise in the way through innovation and adaptation and creativity, adjusted within weeks to the coronavirus, and everything that this group has talked about will fold so well into what we're trying to do at the state level. And when you think about that happening in every state across the country, we really are going to come back stronger and better and really help provide opportunities for every single American. So thank you for leading it.
And we see it now, Kim. Next year is going to be, we think, amazing, actually.
Yep, I agree.
It's going to be an amazing year. Larry, would you like to say something?
Yeah, thanks, sir. I spoke just before you came, but I'll just repeat the V-shaped recovery. Virtually every number is showing a V-shaped recovery now. Private surveys, government statistics, restaurants, home builders, truckers, durable goods makers, Apple Mobility and travel, gasoline demand. As you said, the jobs went up really about 3 million in May. We had tremendous retail sales. Actually, today, in the income report, we had tremendous consumer spending, 8% at an annual rate for 1 month. It's a great story.
That's a great number. Yeah.
And I still think we'll get 20% in the second half of the year. And if we get another 5% in the first quarter of next year, we will be right back to the peak in 2019, where you got us the first time with the growth policies. And I just want to say, Ivanka, I gave you a big pitch, did the best I could. Private sector reskilling and retraining, and not only will people come back to the labor force when they're reskilled, they'll come back with higher wages, and they'll come back with more confidence, and it'll make a huge difference, as it already has. And so I've added you to the 4 pillars of growth. The president.
Good.
Tax cuts.
Good taste.
Deregulation, energy unleashing, fair trade deals, and private sector-led reskilling. How's that, sir?
That's great. That's great. And I'm very happy what you said about early next year. I think next year is going to be an incredible year. Thank you very much, Larry.
Appreciate it.
Wilbur, would you like to say something?
Yes, Mr. President. Thank you for the opportunity to help Ivanka and the others on this group. I've been very, very impressed with the productivity of this advisory board. Most advisory boards create a big, thick book at the end. It goes in the library and nothing happens. This group, every single meeting, there's a specific, tangible thing. It gets followed up and it gets implemented. So it's really been a heartwarming thing to see how productive these folks have been. And I congratulate all of them.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Gene, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. And you mentioned the 3.5% unemployment rate just a few months ago. You did so many things for the American worker during those 3 years. You know, back in the summer of 2016, the Congressional Budget Office said that we'd be at 5% unemployment in February. They said that between then and February 2020, they said we'd create 1.9 million jobs. We created 7 million jobs. So Larry touched on it. It was policies of tax cuts, of deregulation that brought us there, which was just a wonderful thing for the American worker as jobs were being created and wages were rising. But there was other work going on, and what you see today is a manifestation of other things that were being done that are now going to have their day to really help workers. We are coming back. Larry's mentioned some of the numbers, but we know that the training will be important, and we're fortunate that this really very extraordinary group, and as Secretary Ross has said, a group that really generated valuable product. They were working quietly to help train American workers. I spoke earlier about a new apprenticeship rule that we adopted at the Labor Department that I think will be very helpful. This will be an important part of the rebound.
Thank you, Gene, very much. Appreciate it. Steve, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, as others said, your economic team, working with you, knew how to create jobs, and it created an enormous amount. And because of this virus, we had to unfortunately shut down the economy. We know how to reopen the economy safely. Working with Congress, we put $3 trillion in. It's beginning to work. We see it. And our work isn't going to be done until every single one of these jobs is done. We know we need a few more tools. We'll go back to Congress next month, but we're going to get everybody back to work. And I'm confident we're going to see a strong third and fourth quarter as we reopen.
That's great, Steve. Thank you very much. Anybody else would like to say something? Anybody? Anybody? This is your chance. Go ahead, please.
Mr. President, I just want to say, as your domestic policy chief, what an extraordinary day today is, and here's why. It's not just the work of this council and the leadership of Ivanka. It is the executive order that you are about to sign that completely resets the playing field. The federal government is the largest employer in the country with 2 million employees. 2/3 of American adults do not have a college degree. Your signature that is recalibrating the workforce away from being degree only to skill set is transformational, and the opportunity for you to fight for all Americans. I think about Tony, that Ivanka talked about, that Sebastian talked about from Udacity, from a truck driver to a software engineer, next potentially into the federal government because of this executive order that is focusing on skills rather than degrees. Congratulations and thank you for your leadership. It's extraordinary.
Thank you very much. Anybody? Jovita.
Yes, President Trump, thank you very much for your strong leadership. You know, I sit in the audience here as part of a participation of this particular advisory board, and I'm a recipient of the type of programs that you are actually implementing and supporting. I started out as a box handler in a world's largest logistics company, and so when I hear everyone talk about the dedication of the workforce and establishing some really comprehensive training, I took advantage of every training opportunity there was in that private sector. And perhaps you'll see another administrator similar to me based on the programs that you're going to advocate and support. And because of the public-private partnerships that this administration has enabled, the Paycheck Protection Program, just one example that has fortified small businesses, sustained their viability, and also protected their employees, a baseline of about 60 million employees. And so I thank you again for putting small businesses front and center. And one other comment, I'm looking at all of these private sector companies, the super leaders in your various sectors. You are the primary contractors for the subcontractors that I represent as an advocate for small business administration. So once you reinstate your viability, the small business sector will then follow soon after. So thank you again, President.
Thank you very much, Jovita. Thank you very much.
Mr. President.
Please.
I just appreciate your unrelenting focus on creating opportunity for all Americans, and that begins with opportunities in education, and I so appreciate your leadership there, and it's been a privilege to be part of this. Ivanka and Secretary Ross, thank you for your work here. We are privileged to carry out your vision in policy and action, as Governor Reynolds said, and thank you for your leadership.
Choice. How's that going? Choice, yes. Right? That's what we want. Please.
Yeah, I was just going to say, thank you, Mr. President. From a university's perspective, it's often perceived as skills versus degrees, but in reality, in a skills-denominated future, it is that tide that lifts all boats, because even those who possess degrees, they can better articulate the skills and competencies that they now have for the future of work. And the reality is, too, is that it's also more fair, it's more equitable, it's more prosperous for our workforce, because what it really is that it's now about what you possess and what you can demonstrate, not how you acquired the competency and skill. Right. And so it just creates much more of an equitable pathway. And WGU, as a competency-based education provider, has always been focused on how do you articulate the outcomes of achieving a degree in a skills and competency-based way. So it's much more aligned with the future of work. And so it is truly that tide that lifts all boats. So this is a huge step in the right direction. So thank you very much.
I agree with you 100%, I must say. I do. Okay, why don't we sign? And this is a big deal. Congratulations to everybody in the room. This means a lot. Okay, we'll do that for Maryland. And we'll take this. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay, that's very good. We have pens for everybody. There, honey. All right, phase 2. Thank you very much. Well, thank you all very much. We appreciate it. This is really an important day for a lot of reasons, but this is one of them. Thank you all for being with us. We appreciate it very much. Thank you very much.
All right, folks, thank you so much for joining us and choosing us as your stream of choice. If you're new to the channel and you liked our coverage, make sure you subscribe and you click that notification bell. And hopefully YouTube notifies you when we go live for a future President Trump live stream. But if you want to get notified 100% of the time, all you have to do is sign up to our text message notification list. In order to sign up, all you have to do is text the word Trump Live to the number 555-888. Once again, text the word Trump Live to the number 555-888. It's 100% free from our end. It's 100% free, and we send you a notification 100% of the time compared to 10% of the time with YouTube. Once again, if you're new to the channel, we encourage you to subscribe and click that notification bell. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and you share it on social media. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Gold State Times, not Golden, Gold State Times. And also follow us on Parler at Golden State Times. So it's at Golden State Times on Parler and at Gold State Times on Twitter. So make sure you guys follow us. If you're sick and tired of Drudge and the Drudge Report, make sure you check out our website, goldenstatetimes.com. I hope that you guys choose us over Drudge in the near future for your headlines and breaking news. Thank you so much to everyone that supported us through Super Chat. You guys are amazing. Those Super Chats are the reasons why we continue live streaming here on YouTube. All right, folks. So if you guys missed the president's speech and the signing of that executive order on the economy, then make sure to check out the video. We're uploading it right now onto the channel. So just check back in a few moments and we will let you know when it's updated. All right, so we would like to give a big thank you to Robert. Thank you so much, Robert, for your help and your support through Super Chat once again. San Diego, IH San Diego, thank you so much also for your help and your support through Super Chat. And we also have another Patriot, 2Q2Q, right? 2Q2Q. Thank you so much for your help through emoji Super Chat. It's a hippo that says 1 up. That's awesome. That's an awesome emoji. Thanks so much, guys, for your help and your support through Super Chat. Once again, that is what helps us live stream here on YouTube. We cannot live stream without the help of our members, which are the Patriots with the Trump hats next to their names in the chat. Those are our sponsors. We do not have huge sponsors like Coca-Cola or Papa John's or any of those crazy stuff. We don't have any of those sponsors, folks. That's only for the mainstream media. The sponsors here on this channel are patriots just like you that support us on a monthly basis. They get to use all of the Super Chat, the custom emojis and stuff like that. So the patriots that you guys see in the chat with the Trump hat next to their name, those are our sponsors. Our sponsors are viewers just like you. So we like to give a big thank you to our sponsors, our members in the chat, tuning in on a daily basis, helping Golden State Times out, and most importantly, believing in us and supporting the free press. Thank you so much, folks. All right, so once again, there was a White House press briefing on coronavirus. If you guys missed that, it's on the channel, Golden State Times Newsroom. Also, I'm going to check to see if Kellyanne Conway spoke to the press. I think she did earlier today. If she did, I will be uploading that onto the channel very soon, so stay tuned for that. And anything else, folks, we'll be covering it on Parler, on Twitter, and also on our website, goldenstatetimes.com. We hope to see you guys there. Subscribe if you are new. I'll see you very soon. And thank you so much to the moderators for keeping the chat clean and enjoyable for everyone. All right, folks. So the video has been uploaded onto the channel. The video has been uploaded to the channel. So if you guys want to check it out, it is on the channel now. Thank you so much once again for choosing Golden State Times as your stream of choice. The video has been uploaded onto the channel. I'm going to see if I can put the link to it. Or let me know if you guys got notified by YouTube regarding this this upload. I'll put the link to it in the chat. Just give me a second here. I know it's still it's still on slow mode. I forgot to take it off, so just give me a second. All right, so I'm putting the link to the video in the chat. Make sure you guys go and check it out. Let me know if you guys got notified for that upload. A lot of patriots missed it. Fox News wasn't covering it. Other people that cover President Trump weren't covering this event. Maybe it was because it's not a rally. Maybe because they didn't cover it because it wasn't a rally. Maybe it wasn't beneficial for them, so they did not want to cover this event, which is very important. It's about workforce. It's about jobs and the economy. It's an extremely important video that these people missed. But who knows? All right, folks, so make sure you guys go and check it out. We are ending this live stream. Thank you so much for tuning in and choosing Golden State Times as your stream of choice. We hope that you guys enjoyed our coverage, and we'll see you very soon. Peace.